Namaste and welcome to Dragonfly Kukri and Knives. This is video number 3 of our handmade kukris from Nepal in our series of production kukris versus handmade kukris. In this particular video, I'm going to be covering quite a few kukris in this video, but I'm going to be primarily focusing on 2 kukri houses. Now both of these kukri houses have been around for quite some time. One started in 1991 and the other one started in 1992. So they've been around for a couple decades now. I started collecting some of their blades. One of them I actually started collecting in the early 2000s, where the other one I've recently started collecting maybe about a year or two ago. So one I'm a little bit more acquainted with than the other. I've been following it longer, but hopefully I'm going to do justice to both of these kukri houses and the products that they offer, because they're what I would call the mid-range kukri houses. And I don't mean that in a that they're not high-end or that, they're not doing as good a product as somebody else. It's not what I'm talking about when I call them a mid-range. When I call them a mid-range, it means that they are they're offering some budget-friendly kukris, and then a bunch that are in the middle, and other kukris that are higher-end kukris. They're going to cost you a bit more, and they're finer and higher quality. So they kind of cover a broad area. So they really fit in that niche in the Nepali market of kukris being offered to Americans and Europeans. So you get a lot of different products being offered, which is really good. You got a lot of choices with them. Their websites are packed with different kukris. Some, like I said, smaller, more user-friendly, more budget-friendly. Then you have some that are higher end that you might want to put on a mantle, or you might use for martial arts, or you might use for hunting and camping. So they have a wide range of choices, which is really good. It's very they're the meat and potatoes of the kukri market and kukri houses that are offering the product. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is KHHI. They're the ones that I've been buying from for some time. They were first founded by 2 former Gurkhas who got together and were trying to produce quality kukris, BSIs for the British Gurkhas. Then later on, in about 2002, I think it was, the founder of, which is Mr. Tamang, who is the guy who's now running and owns and runs KHHI, and he actually came aboard the team in 2002 and then kind of took over and ran with it. And he's a very, very gifted and talented businessman, as well as a well-versed and talented commie. And he definitely looks for talented commie to bring under his industry, and he has some very fine commie that are working for him. So with that being said, I want to spend more time talking about the products that they offer, and I've actually watched this company start off offering more budget-friendly kukris that were into the same quality and grade as maybe GK and CO Kukri House and ex-Gurkha Kukri House. They were all in competition with one another, and they were all putting out similar products, similar quality. But over the time period that I've been collecting from all 3 of these, I would say that KHHI has definitely stepped out of that just a budget friendly market, and is actually stepping into producing some very fine and excellent quality kukris, and I've watched the improvement of their product as it has developed on, and I will show some examples of that. The first example I'm going to show is this one is called the Humvee, and this has some very unique design features to it. It's definitely marketing to the American market. This came out roughly after 9/11, so they're trying to appeal to people who are thinking about the Iraqi war and the servicemen that are involved in that, and Afghanistan as well. Hence why it's called the Humvee, which is the military vehicle that the U.S. uses, and is it's like the Jeep of today. Your workhorse vehicle. This is your workhorse kukri. Now it comes with a scabbard that has good points and bad points to it. The good points is the quality of the leather is excellent. Plus it's ambidextrous. You can slide the frog off and move it either way, so it really services a lefty or righty very well in that regard. What's not good about the frog, though, however, is it has this belt loop on the side here, which when you put it on a belt, carries this kukri very high and causes that handle to really gouge you in the side. So it's not very comfortable. It has a nice, good quality leather belt loop, or little loop here for your lanyard to tie around your leg, which is good. It would be very nice to see this with a dangler, putting a D-guard on it and having a leather belt loop that would give you another option to carry, which is lower, set it lower. But that's something that if you purchase this, you could do that. I haven't done it because this is really not a kukri I carry and use often. And there's reasons for that, which I will talk about. But at the time that I purchased it, it was pretty great, considering, what you're getting for a handmade knife. This is pretty good. It's not too bad. Now, this particular kukri has a traditional shape to it. However, the spine is sharp from your elbow all the way down to the tip. So this is qualified as a two-edged kukri. So you have a cutting edge on this side and your cutting and chopping edge that goes all the way to this finger choil. Now they've taken the cowdy away and they've put this finger choil, which allows for gripping up and getting a better purchase for whittling, which is very good, so it's useful in that regard. Has a 90-degree spine up here, so you could throw sparks with a ferro rod very easily. However, the handle is what concerns me the most about this particular kukri. It's got on the profile of it, it's not too bad. You got a nice little palm swell here. You got an integrated finger guard and a little bit of a bird beak pommel. However, when you turn it this way, it looks like a broomstick. And there's no shape, no contouring, no anything. It's rounded, and yes, when you're chopping with this, it will roll in your hand. The only thing that prevents it from rolling too much is that you have a little bit of shrinkage of the wood, so your spine kind of sticks out a little bit, and that, and again, it does kind of grip into your hand, but it also creates some hot spots. So it's not the most comfortable handle that they provide. It's what I call a broomstick. So you have a fairly decent kukri with a broomstick handle. Definitely could improve upon that by adding some contouring to the side, slimming that down a bit to where it would fit in your hand and lock in your hand and not provide any hot spots. So D-ring and better handle, this would be a much better kukri. But this is one of their earlier kukris that they were making. Now they still offer it on their website. Another one that's kind of in that same ballpark is one that's called the McCurdy Modern Kukri. Obviously this was designed probably by an American guy or a British gentleman who put his design savvy to work for them. You've got a really, really thick scabbard, but it's got that good quality leather, belt loop, so it's not a cheap scabbard by any means. It's just a really fat scabbard. Again, you have your little loop for your leg tie. Now, this one is supposed to be a duchira. In other words, it has two fullers on the side, but they're not very deep and not very functional at all. They're more for looks. It's a very, very thick piece of steel, 5160. Kind of falls in that sharpened crowbar viewpoint that I mentioned in one of my previous videos. And remember, there's sometimes a great use for a sharpened crowbar, especially if you're in an emergency situation. You need to pry somebody out of a car and cut their seatbelt off. This is a tool that would service you quite well. It has a beautiful curve to it. The shape of the blade is nice. Has an integrated finger guard or finger choil, which is really good. Allows you to get in that up close purchase so you can do your whittling. However, that handle, now this handle on the profile is better than the Humvee. You got a more pronounced finger guard with a finger choil, a nice belly swell, and then a little bit more useful pommel end, especially with your integrated full tang lanyard hole there. However, when you turn it this way, you again have your broomstick. So yes, this will turn on you when you're chopping. So it would be nice to see them do some contouring to the handle. Think about the handle as well as the blade, and then put in some deeper chiras in the blade and maybe thin the stock out a little bit. Now I do know that they are offering this one now with a Kydex sheath, and they might even offer a micarta handle. And if they did, hopefully they took care of some of that broomstick quality to it and made it a little bit better. But all in all, you know, for back in the earlier days, this was a very good product for what they were doing on a budget-friendly kukri. Now, as we progress on, another kukri that I got, which was from one of their older and master kamis, you're going to see now a very good quality, everything form follows function in every possible way on this, and a very traditional kukri. Let's start with the scabbard. It's a little bit on the thick side, but you've got very good quality leather, buffalo hide, stitched traditionally, no chape on it, which is okay, and you have a very good, heavy, nice thick piece of leather for your belt loop. It's very simple, but less is more. Doesn't have the card, doesn't have the chakmak. It's forms follows function to a T. It holds this kukri very well, and look how easily it is to slide that kukri in and out. Very easy, very safe, and you push it forward, lock it, it stays in there, doesn't fall out. So it is a very functional scabbard. The Sharkey did a good job. Now this is the kukri. It's a little bit on the heavy side because you've got a big 13-inch blade, traditional style with some very beautiful decorations, traditional Kaudi, brass bolster and pommel and keeper, stick tang, very good quality leather, wood handle. It's Indian rosewood, but a little bit on the lighter color, which very beautiful. Nice grains. The fit and finish is very good. Not too thick and consistent. You know, it's not too thick at all. It has a very nice convex edge. Excellent chopper. This is a very useful kukri, and very traditional. It's beautiful. This is a big difference from this. Huge difference. This is just it's excellent. It's excellent. This one is called the Badhun or Badhune Kukri. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it. It's classic Kukri. Another one that I really love, and this, unfortunately, this kami's no longer with them, or fortunately, depending upon how you look at it. I'm not going to mention his name because of, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Anyways, this is a kami that started off with them, worked with him for a number of years, and came up with some of his own designs. He's an excellent designer and kami, and he's a very gifted businessman as well. He's now has his own kukri house and is producing kukris. One of the new guys on the block, and I will be talking about him and his kukri house. And but this gentleman who made this for the KHHI, this is incredibly beautiful. It's thinking outside the box as far as kukris are concerned, and yet it has so much tradition in it. Yet this one has these fullers that are grooved in here in a very creative, artistic way, are 100% functional. This is a very thick piece of 5160, but with these chiras in it, it actually has lightened the blade and made it very fast and when I say it's functional, it also, when you hit something with it, you don't get that reverberation back to your hand as bad. It does eliminate some of the shock, so it's actually very functional. 90-degree spine on it. You could throw a spark with a ferro rod. He's taken the cho out and or the cowdy and put a finger choil that is very functional and very comfortable, and you can get in there and you could do whittling and carving and doing whatever, and it's right at that balance point of the kukri, so you don't have any feeling like it's wanting to do this on you because of it being so blade heavy. It actually feels very nimble in your hand at this point. It's right where the roughly around where the balance point is, which is right about here. So you don't have that wobble. So it's functional. Beautiful handle, long enough to fit most Westerners' hands. You could also get a double-handed purchase on it and do chopping. It's excellent Indian rosewood, not high polished, but very smooth in texture and finish, very comfortable in the hand. Good use of materials, stick tang all the way through, and I call this the orca because it reminds me of the killer whale. And orcas they have no natural enemy in the ocean. They are the main predator of the ocean, and they're incredibly intelligent. And this is an intelligently designed kukri. Form follows function to a T, and very beautifully, artistically executed. It's just excellent, beautiful, and functional. The only enemy that the killer whale has in the ocean is man. Mankind is its only enemy. And again, it comes with a scabbard that is thinner. It's got that same quality of leather. Forms follows function. No carta chakmak, doesn't need it. Very good quality leather. Has the cord loop at the bottom. Very simple design. Less is more, but 100% functional and safe as far as these type of kukris scabbards go. Easy to return back to its scabbard and take out, and will allow it to lock in and not fall out. So it's forms follows function. It's very, very good. Now, back in 2015, Nepal suffered a catastrophic earthquake. It was a great quake. 9,000 people died that day. It was on April 25th, 2015. 24,000 were injured and hospitalized. Not to mention the countless numbers of people that were probably buried under rubble and were never found. So many houses and businesses and buildings were lifted off their foundation and pushed around like they were toys. It was a horrible, horrible event, and I can't even fathom the amount of grief that families in Nepal suffered, where they lost multiple family members. This event happened on the day before our second oldest son's birthday, and a few months later, that same year, we lost him. He was serving in the military. Fortunately, we didn't lose him at war, but we lost one son, and it's something we've never gotten over and never will. It's like trying to live your life without one of your appendages. You can try to survive the best you can, but life will never be the same. There isn't a day that doesn't go by, a moment that doesn't go by that we don't think about him. And I think about the families, the people in Nepal who didn't just lose one family member. They may have lost fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, all in the same day. Not to mention their pets and other things, but nothing can compare to the human loss and tragedy that they suffered. Well, KHHI produced this kukri to help raise support for families that suffered that great quake. Needless to say, I purchased this for the purpose of giving my support to those families. It's a beautiful, excellent kukri in every single way. It's nice thin scabbard, quality leather, brown colored, beautiful brass accent here of the crossed kukris, which is a symbol of Nepal, along with your sun and your moon, emblems of the Nepali flag, done in lighter leather attached here. Beautiful metal shape, very nice design, but simple, no cowding, no cardo chakmak, but excuse me, extremely functional. Very, very beautiful kukri, and very functional. It's traditional. It's satin finish, as an old kukri would have. This is of a World War I or a Victorian era style kukri. Beautiful cowdy that he's put on it. Like I said, satin finish. They've written in English on the side here, Motherland, which is what this kukri is called. I asked them to put it in Nepali text as well, which they put on this side for me, which was very, very nice. Nepal 2015, a year that none of us will ever forget. Very nice and comfortable hand. It's traditional but simple, very comfortable in the hand, not high polished. It matches well with this satin finish blade. This is a wonderful traditional style kukri. They nailed it. They got it right. And it's a little bit. It's about a 1/4 inch thick at the here at the bolster, and does taper a bit to the tip. So it's not an overly heavy kukri, but yet 13-inch long blade. Excellent package, and they're still offering it on their website. I imagine that they are still donating to families in need there in Nepal. One that I got last year, this one is based off of the 1960s and 1990s BSI. It's, I love this design. This is one of my favorite designs of the BSIs. This one you'll see me do some cutting tests with my BSI competition cutting demonstration that I did, and it performed quite well. It's kind of a villager style in that it's got the blackened side with the satin spine and satin bevel for your convex edge. It's about 10 1/4 inch long with about a 9-inch cutting area. Traditional, a raw horn handle, meaning that it's not polished, but it is smooth to the hand, brushed, finished brass butt plate and keeper and bolster. just all in all, very appealing and very comfortable kukri to use, very functional, and it comes with good quality leather scabbard, semi-military style, and that has the double frogs but without the brass um, pins, buttons, brass brush finish, brass shape, but good quality leather, and again, very simple design. The only complaint I have of this is the chakmak, or the karda. This karda is useless. I would put this in a box, and not take it with me and use it. It's almost user size, but the bevel on the edge and the quality is just, it looks like a novice did it. And here you have somebody, a really expert kami, worked on this one, and I don't know who, grandma decided to make a karda. They could improve on this. They could make a karda that's functional, that would complement this kit. And because the chakmak's not bad, it's got a 90-degree spine. You could throw sparks off of a fire rod with that. It also has enough point on it. You could do a divot for friction, start friction fire with bow drill, or it's a good enough size you could actually use it to take out rolled edges. So there's form follows function with this, where this karda is useless. So that would go in the box, but I've kept it in it because it helps the appearance of it. And the kukri is very, very good. Now, one thing about that I want to say about KHHI is that when you buy a kukri from them, the kami who builds this for you will initial it on this side, and then you'll see the logo or their emblem of the kukri house on this side, stamped here. This way you know that any kukri from this particular kukri house, you'll know that there was an individual kami who built this for you. It comes with a card with his picture and his background on it, which is a very nice personal touch to let you know that you purchased this kukri and this gentleman made it for you. Handmade Khukuri from Nepal. And I love that touch. I love that way that they're giving recognition to their kami. Very, very good. The last one I'm going to show from the Kukri house. This one is one of the more recent purchases I did. Didn't actually buy it off their website. It was offered to me by one of their guys on Facebook. He asked me if I would be interested in this, and I looked at it and I go, sure, and I purchased it. When it came, I was very, very pleasantly surprised, and if I haven't seen it, I looked today to see if it was on their website to find out what they're calling it, and I still have not yet seen it or found it. And if you're thinking about putting this on, please do. This is a very, very good kukri. Very traditional design. It's a very fast and light to medium chopper. Great martial arts kukri, and it is very traditional, which I'm going to show you. Has a nice thin scabbard. That very good quality leather. Has your leg tie loop, good belt loop on it. Less is more. No karda chakmak, but very, very functional. Very good quality. And notice it's easy to draw the blade out. Now this is the traditional blade. It's a do chira. It has two chiras on it that are functional, that do lighten the blade and help with the reverberation. It's a thin blade, not very thick, but yet strong enough that it could withstand some punishing, doing chopping, and you can build a shelter with this. You could process your firewood. I wouldn't necessarily pound on it, splitting logs, but if you swung it and were able to chop smaller pieces, you would definitely do it. Do a good job doing it. But very, very beautiful, high polished blade. Again, you have the Kami's initials plus Kukri House's emblem on it. Very traditional design, beautiful, beautiful polished horn handle with great marbling on it. And then you've got your stake tang that goes all the way through. Very light and very fast. This is an excellent, you know, martial arts tool. You can definitely do your katas and forms and do cutting tests going through mats and bottles and rope with no problem with this. It's a very excellent weapon and tool, and I highly recommend it. I wish I knew what they called it, but it's a very, very good quality light. You could call it the light Gurkha sidearm, something like that, you know, or officer's kukri, because its Duchera would be excellent, small enough that an officer would use it. It's very good quality. I really like it. So that really shows, like, when you compare what they were doing earlier and what they're doing now, this is high end in quality. What you're getting, it's, you know, and yet it's still, I'm sure it would be very reasonably priced. It was very reasonable for me to purchase. So now the next Kukri house I'm going to talk about is one that started in 1992, and this is it's called the Great Gurkha Kukri House. It was founded by Purna Darnell, who is a Kami who's this guy travels all over Nepal looking for antique kukris that he can replicate and put in his website. He works with a lot of custom designers from all over who ask him to build their designs, and he's done some other, like for instance, he does a kopis, a Greek kopis that he's offering on his website, and it's actually very excellent. He did a great job. I've seen lots of different kopises of that era and from South Iberia that don't look like the historical ones, or if they, you know, if they are close to the historical ones, they would not be ones that I would pick up and wield. I might put them on the wall and look at them, and that's about it. Purna's kopis is 100% functional, and there's videos on YouTube and on Facebook that you could actually see him doing some cutting tests with it, and you can see that it's very, very good. This is a Kami that you will see demonstrate his products. He puts them through torture tests to let you know and feel the confidence of purchasing from his website the kukris that he offers. Now, I don't have a lot of his kukris. I only have 2 to show you, but of them, they're very, very good. I'm very pleased with both of them. This was the first one that I purchased from him, and as you can see, it's a rather large kukri. It reminds me of a hanchi, hence why I was drawn to it and had to have it. Although it is also very Sarapati in style. It has a handle that's long enough for 2-hand purchase, so you could definitely do some chopping with it. It's got about a 1/4 inch thick spine that does taper a bit to the tip. It's a very thin profile blade, very light and fast kukri. This thing is an excellent martial arts tool, as well as a very relevant and user-friendly kukri that you could do some serious chopping with and not be afraid of damaging the edge or breaking your blade. If you're a hunter, you could, you know, cut your fire lanes with this. You can clear a trail with it. It's light enough; it's not going to wear your arm out. And yet, you could split firewood with it. You could build a shelter with it. You can get in there and get a nice purchase up there and do some whittling with it. And you know, I could sharpen a pencil with this, no problem. Beautiful grained wood handle. The polish and finish of this handle is just fantastic. But I love the grains on this. He really selected a very nice piece of wood. It's a full tang that goes all the way to the butt. butt plate with a sunken threaded nut that's hidden, but looks very nice, very strong, sturdy kukri. Comes with a beautiful, excellent scabbard. Notice the color of it. You can have good quality buffalo hide leather scabbards with very nice marbling on it, where you're showing the imperfections of the leather and still have it stained and dyed a different color, different from traditional black. He does a great example of that and shows a very functional, very safe to use, and traditional scabbard. And it's thin, it's light, it's not too heavy, and it fits this kukri perfectly where it doesn't fall out. It's easy to put in and out. Very, very nicely done. Comes with a karda and chakmak that are 100% functional. Look at this karda. It has a wonderful bevel to it. It's not, it didn't look like an amateur built this. It looks like Purna himself built this to fit this and complement this kukri. This you could take out in the field, you could whittle with it, you could skin an animal with it. It's got a really nice bevel to it. It's a very useful little knife. And the chakmak is traditional and very attractive. It's got a rooster crest pommel here, very nice, very user-friendly. Has a 90-degree spine. You could throw sparks with it, and you could definitely take out rolled edges. It's a beautiful design, very traditional. Excellent, excellent job. I really like this. This is an excellent kukri. I highly recommend. It's called the Mala Kukri. It's got a 14-inch blade. The next one I want to show you is the Light Army Kukri. This one is very similar to KHHI's version. This one's new. They just came out with this. This one has been on Purna's website for some time. Now, I actually didn't go to his website and purchase this one. I actually bought this from somebody who had purchased it from Purna and used it for a while and decided that they wanted to get rid of it for some reason. And much to my delight and happiness, I was able to acquire it. This is a beautiful kukri. And again, here you have a nice lightly colored, beautiful scabbard with good quality leather stretched over the wood. And you see the imperfections of the leather showing through the stain, which makes it a very beautiful marbling. Just very nice, very attractive. But isn't that cheap, vellum type, unsafe scabbard. This is safe. This is 100% good. Form follows function, and it's beautiful. And he does nice contrasting here. It's artistically done. Very user-friendly. It does have a leg tie loop at the bottom that's functional. Not too thick. Very light. Now this is the kukri. It's an ek chira. Has one chira here. It's a very light kukri. It's very thin, less than a 1/4 inch thick here at the spine, and thins right down to a needle's edge, almost needle point at the tip. Very nice bevel to the blade. Very light and fast. This is just, without any question, a martial arts kukri. It is a very, very relevant and accurate slicer and cutter. It will go through a mat, it will go through bottles and rope with no problem whatsoever. It's very sharp, very agile, very fast, very quick. Not a heavy chopper. This is a light chopper. I wouldn't even say it's a medium chopper. I wouldn't be surprised if Purna has put this through some torture tests to prove me wrong on that, but my comfort level in using this kukri, I like this kukri a lot, so I'm not going to go beat a log with it. I'm going to cut mats, I'm going to cut bottles, I'm going to cut rope, I'm going to do my forms, in using it. This is a very, very beautiful kukri. And beautiful beautiful wood handle with the beautiful marbling or grains on the wood. It is a stick tang with a brass, or not brass, I'm sorry, it's a copper pin, which sets it off very nice, very beautiful. Um, and it goes through about this far into the handle, but not loose in any way or shape or form. It's strong, and we know that kukris of antiquity, over 100 years with a stick tang, still are very relevant. And I think just for security wise for the consumer, not for Perna, he knows how strong and durable these handles are. Without this peen through it, he's put that peen just so that the consumer can feel really confident in using this kukri. And like I said, he makes kukris to use, so this is not meant as a wall hanger by any shape or means. This is 100% user kukri. Now it comes with, again, a very useful karda and chakmak. Look at that karda. It's beautiful, and complements this blade very, very well. Even though this is light enough and nimble enough in your hand, you could do all your carving with it. Here's an excellent complementary knife that is 100% functional. Looks like a professional made it with that bevel edge. Handle size is good enough to get a good purchase on it. You could definitely get in there and skin and chop, and very useful. Form follows function to a T. And again, the traditional chakmak with your rooster's crest there on it. Very nice, very beautiful. And this is kind of almost, you could expect that almost with any kukri you purchase from him in his chakmaks and kardas. Now, do I plan on buying more of his stuff? Yes, I do. Eventually down the road, I will purchase more kukris from him. I have no problem. I trust the quality that he does, and I highly recommend him. And he's a guy who offers some kukris on his website that are very budget friendly and are good quality, and then he has higher end kukris and custom knives that he offers at a little bit more premium price, but you're getting something that's very well made and very, very well designed and thought out. He is an artist, a historian, and a very, very competent kami who uses the blades he makes. He knows how to use them. So, excellent. So that concludes the mid-range kukri houses. There are others like them that are out there. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about some of the new guys on the block, like Kaladesh Blades will be one of them. And I'll show some examples and acquisitions that I've gotten from them, what they're doing, their business model, which is fantastic, and their kind of new way of thinking and doing their business there in Nepal, which I really agree with. I really like, and they're doing a great job, and they're making an outstanding, excellent product. So that's coming up next, along with maybe I might do another kukri house with them, or I may just do them alone. I haven't decided yet, but you'll see when the video comes out. Also, I'm going to be doing another production kukri video, and that one will be of condor tools and knives. Stay tuned. Look for my videos. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave me any comments or questions, or if you're requiring more information on any of these kukris, or want to make your comments, please leave them on my Facebook page at Blue Dragonfly Trading Post, and please, by all means, visit my website and check out the kukris that we offer there at dragonflykukriandknives.com. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste and God bless.